Got this. Got this. Got this. Oh, got this. Oh, got this. Got this after dark. Got this after dark. Got this out. Got this out. Got this out. Got this after.
Yeah. Summon the shadows. Awaken, O three divine mothers of the night.
Got this out. Got this out. Got this out. Got this out. Got this out.
Peace, divine evening mystics. Welcome to another episode of Goddess After Dark. This is episode 14. I am the Goddess Southern.
And I am the Goddess Indigo.
And we all Goddess After Dark. Before I get started with my opening, I do want to send some love and shout out Sister Mystic Light. She is here with us in spirit. But she may be joining us soon. I'm not sure when, but I just wanted to send Sister some love.
Absolutely. She's doing great.
She is. She's magnetizing. Let's do that. Sis is out there magnetizing, okay?
Absolutely.
As she's supposed to. So I am going to go ahead and get started with this opening, family. And I want to say gratitude for joining us in this exciting episode 14. Okay, so in our last episode, we entered into the intelligence of time. We explored moon rituals, planetary magic, spiritual timing, and what it means to consciously work with cycles, orbits, planetary days, hours, and astral influences. The practitioner does not simply act. The practitioner learns to observe conditions. There is a time to call something forward. There is a time to build. There is a time to release. There is a time to become still. Okay, and there is a time to clear away what has completed its purpose. Episode 13 taught us to become conscious of the conditions surrounding that work. Tonight's discussion takes that discipline somewhere much closer to home, because it is not enough to understand the heavens above you if you are unconscious of the environment around you. It is not enough to understand planetary correspondence, lunar cycles, ritual timing, invocation, manifestation, or spiritual influences if you have never learned how to clean your vessel, clear your environment, establish your boundaries, maintain your sacred space, and recognize when something needs to leave. Protection, banishing, and spiritual hygiene. Before we go any further, I want to remove some of that fear that tends to surround these subjects, okay? Spiritual hygiene does not have to begin with the assumption that something paranormal is chasing you. Protection does not require paranoia, okay? Banishing does not mean that everything uncomfortable, okay, let me say this. Banishing does not mean that everything uncomfortable feeling is difficult experiences, strange dreams, or shift in the atmosphere is evidence of hostile spiritual forces, because sometimes that could just be all in your mind. And cleansing should not become something that you compulsively perform because you have been taught to fear everything you cannot see. Spiritual hygiene is discipline. It is maintenance. It is the occult understanding that when we interact with people, environments, objects, emotions, rituals, spiritual practices in everyday life, we affect those spaces, and those spaces affect us. So just as we maintain the physical body, we maintain the spiritual vessel. Just as we physically clean our homes, we can intentionally tend to the atmosphere of our homes. Just as we decide who receives access to us physically and emotionally, we can become intentional about spiritual boundaries and access as well. Physical hygiene is not something you practice only after something has gone wrong. Neither should spiritual hygiene be reserved exclusively for spiritual emergencies. That distinction is important. Cleansing is not always banishing. Banishing is not always protection. Protection is not always warding, although those are definitely important. Spiritual hygiene is larger than any one of them. Throughout this episode, we're going to explore what it means to cleanse, what it means to remove, banish, establish a boundary, what it means to ward, what it means to defend sacred spaces, and most importantly, what it means to develop a practice of maintenance so that your relationship with protection is rooted in sovereignty rather than fear. There is another side to spiritual power that doesn't always look glamorous. Everybody wants to talk about what they're calling in or manifesting or invoking, attracting and creating. But spiritual maturity also asks, what are you maintaining? What are you allowing to remain? What needs to be cleansed? What needs to be released? What are your boundaries? What are you carrying into your sacred space? This is where tonight's work begins. We are moving from the timing of the work into the maintenance of the worker and the sacred space. From the heavens to the home, from planetary cycles to personal boundaries, from knowing when to open the ritual to understanding how to clean, close, protect, and maintain what is sacred after the ritual is over. The occult practitioner should not only know how to open doors, but must also know how to close them as well, family. So before we dive deep into our segment here, our beautiful goddess sister Indigo is going to lead us into a lovely invocation.
Wait a minute, I was on mute. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Goddess Southern, for that beautiful opening. Just opening the floor and setting the stage. So right now I want to bring a protective energy for this episode. And today we're going to use Kuan Yin as our invocation, just to bring protection, like I said, over this episode, that the message is clear for those who um, are in search of this knowledge, those that are looking for deeper answers within their own journey. Okay. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask everyone to first take a deep breath. Close your eyes first. Deep breath in and release. Deep breath in again and release. One more deep breath in through the nostrils and release through the mouth. All right. I'm going to clear the energy. Okay. So Kuan Yin enters this particular episode through her current of compassion, protection. I am invoking the energy of mercy, refuge, guardianship, and benevolent protection over the work that we are about to perform and the knowledge we are about to transmit. Compassionate Kuan Yin, she who hears the cries of the world, enter this sacred space as a guardian. a refuge, and a keeper of mercy. Protect this gathering, protect this wisdom spoken here, and protect all who receives it with open and discerning hearts. Let only what serves truth, clarity, compassion, and right order move through this temple. May this knowledge be carried in peace, received in wisdom, and held beneath your gentle protection. Goddess Kuan Yin, presence of mercy and sacred refuge, we honor you. And so it is. Ashe. All right. So we're going to get Goddess Southern back on the screen.
Hey, y'all. I love
And
that
she is,
invocation.
thank you. Thank you. And so I will let Goddess Southern have the floor. She's going to start us off tonight, for this segment. All right, guys, you guys are in for a treat.
Yes.
Make sure you get your pen and paper now. Get your journals, and get comfortable. Get you a cup of hot tea, and get comfortable. All
Yes,
right, let's go.
do get comfortable. All right. Gratitude, sister Indigo.
All right.
Gratitude. All right. So we're going to pull up my slides here. Okay. Yes, I left it in black and white. Okay. Lately, I've been seeing the colors black and white. They resonate. So we just going to vibe with it. We are going to talk about the material art of spiritual cleansing. Okay. When we speak about spiritual cleansing, protection, and banishing, it's most common to automatically think of the unseen world. Okay. Although that's important, cleansing your physical spaces as well as yourself is just as important. The spiritual and physical, remember, they all go hand in hand. Everything that happens in the spiritual happens in the physical. Okay, so remember that. We talk about that a lot here. Both the physical and spiritual, I just said, go hand in hand. Okay, encountering the physical, such as the body we inhabit, the water that we wash with, okay, the salt that preserves, the smoke that moves through the room, the herbs, I love to say it like that, that's beneath our hands, okay, the floor beneath our feet, and the threshold that separates what is ours from the what exists beyond, okay. These are sacred practices in having that balance relationship between the physical and spiritual realms. We'll be discussing spiritual hygiene, bringing it out of our abstraction, okay, and back into the body, the home, the physical world. Cleansing is about understanding how removal is ritualized through matter. Okay, so let's move on to our next slide. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so these are the topics of discussion that we will be talking about: the physical preparation, preparing the vessel. Okay, and let me make sure you guys can see the screen a little clearer. I wanted to make sure you can see that screen a little clearer as far as my presentation. Yeah. Okay. I thought it was a one where I can come at. Here we are. Here we are. There we go. All right. I want to make sure that you can see it. Gratitude, sister. I see you. I see you. These are the topics of discussion. Okay. When I say preparing the vessel, I'm not just talking about your physical body. I'm talking about your home as well. Okay. Think of how we use actual physical materials to build the home. Okay. A lot of nature materials that connects to the home. We're going to talk about using smoke. We're going to talk about salt water. We're going to talk about spiritual baths and floor washes, okay, threshold work and some practical safety stuff. Matter isn't separate from your spiritual workings, okay? It gives your magic a space to land, expand, and thrive in ways that makes more, let's say, benefiting for you, okay? So this is you enhancing, intensifying your magic. And I also want to make it clear also, when you hear me talk about these, you will hear that a lot of these are far as your, how would I say, your floor washes, or your spiritual baths. You can use these herbs interchangeably. Say like you're making the floor wash, you can actually use some of that at times for a spiritual bath, depending on what you put in there. It does matter. You can even make it as a tea, again, depending on what it is that you put in there. Because, when we create floor washes, there are certain things that we'll add in there that are not consumable. Okay. Okay, so let's go on to our next slide here. And we're talking about preparing the vessel. I don't know why my laptop want to zoom in on everything, but she just gonna do what she want to do. All right, preparing the vessel. Okay. So this is about you cleansing yourself as well as your sacred space. Hopefully you guys can actually see my slides pretty well. Okay, so the first bullet says, all right, gratitude, sister. Physical cleaning and spiritual cleaning are not the same operation, okay? They work together, but should not be substituted for one or the other. Okay, you do want to ensure to have some physical tidiness. You want to actually physically clean your home, okay? The way I do mine is I actually physically clean my house. I start by actually going through what I no longer want, what no longer resonates within my to-nowness, okay? And I get rid of that. I start to, sweep and all this type of stuff, okay? So physical cleaning rehearses the removal. So when you get into that practice, when you actually cleansing your home, as you should, it's a way for your subconscious to be like, oh, okay, so it's that time to start cleaning shit and removing shit. Okay. So this has long-term influences on the quality of your life when practiced regularly. Removal before you add, okay? So when you do this, again, it actually intensifies your magic when you actually start to uh, incorporate these spiritual hygiene practices within your home. Okay, it allows it, there we go, it allows the space to feel lighter and much vibrant. I've had guests over my house before. They were like, man, your house is really, it's really light in here, it feels so good in here. That's how I like it. Okay, that's how I like it. I don't like all that clutteredness, that feeling of, it feels like the space is tight, like there's energy there that just need to go. Okay, so our bullet here where it says removal before you add, this is meaning, the actual physical cleaning. Take out the trash, spoiled offerings on your altar. This is a perfect time to break down your altar, remove dirty dishes, accumulated ashes. Some people actually keep their ashes for ritual purposes. However, we're in the moment of where we're doing our cleansing and we're prepping and we're starting. So you want to set them to the side if you do keep them. If you don't, however, you are called to release your ashes, do so in whatever you're called to. Any dead flowers, old ritual remnants, okay, stagnant water, anything that's excessive clutter. And again, this is not just for your altar, this is throughout your home, because your home is your sacred palace. Okay, so you want to ensure the way that you are feeling internally, it definitely exudes externally. So if you're feeling light, let's make that environment light by starting with the preparation. don't keep spiritually dressing what physically needs to be cleansed. Okay. I don't know if you ever been in botanical shops, some shops where you see there should be some sort of cleansing. You see dust here, you see dust every day. And me, I can feel the energy of some things, and I'll be in there and be like, man, I really wanted to purchase this, but that needs to be cleansed and stuff like that. And then, my internal self's like, we don't need that, not from here. So, lighten the vibrations, okay? Remove bed sheets, break down your altar, okay? Physically cleanse yourself and your sacred space, okay? When you're showering, what just happened? Uh-oh. I don't know what's going on. It's okay. When you're showering, okay? So before I do like a spiritual bath, I always actually shower. And this is something I was waiting to share. So I have soap specifically for me to actually physically cleanse my body. If I don't do a spiritual bath and I want to do one within the shower, I actually have, and this is what I do. You can do whatever it is that you call yourself, what yourself call you to do. Listen to the God or goddess within. I actually have soap where it's specifically for spiritual cleansing. Okay. Shower and cleanse your body like you regularly would, having the intentions of washing away what no longer serves. So when you're washing physically, imagine all the energy, whatever you had attached to you before jumping in the shower. Imagine the water washing it all away, and however it looks for you, whether it's, black gunk or, something that feels dirty to you, just imagine that it's flowing off of your body, going through the drain. Tidy up your space. This allows you to have access to the floors and walkways. Okay. Move stuff around, organize as well. If it no longer serves, get it out of there. Okay. Get it out of there. Allow room for new things to come in. Okay. When you tidy up your space, you can see what it is that you have. And what it is that you have. Do I want this? No, I don't want this. I don't need this. It doesn't align. Okay, it's time to go. All right. Wash down tables, countertops, walkways and doors, etc. So just basically wipe down all the thresholds in your home, tables, counters, whatever you use for your regular cleaning products. Okay. You can combine mundane cleaning products with your herbal magic. Okay. It can be done separately or it can be done together. I don't know anyone that do their spiritual cleansing far as their home together. Now, far as me, my house, I actually done it a couple times where I would clean the house in the first few hours, and then after that I'll go back and spiritually cleanse, and I was like, damn, I'm exhausted. So go with what works for you. Okay, go with what works for you. Okay. Preparing wash water. Now this wash water is it could be water for your floor wash. It could be water for even your bath. Okay. So look at it like that. Okay. You understand your herbs. Understand your herbs. Okay. Understand what herbs you're using for whatever type of cleansing that you're doing. We're talking about protection and banishing and watering and everything. So choose herbs that help to clear and cleanse any stagnant energy. Okay. That is what is important. We always talk about the intention here on Goddess After Dark. We've been saying it for the very last few episodes. We've been saying that when we talk about your intentions actually matter. But I do want to literally not stress, but actually gratitude, sister, but actually put out there that understanding the tools that you're using is very important. Don't just go out and get some herbs because such and such on such and such platform said this herb is good for this. Do your own due diligence and do your own understanding, because sometimes that herb may not be the one for you. Okay, I'm just gonna keep it a buck. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. Mise en place means everything in its place. Okay, so that's what the next bullet says over here in preparing your wash water. So once you have decided what herbs you're going to use, what type of chemicals, because I think it's called ammonia. Did I say that? Uh, it's some sort of type of liquid that you can put into your floor wash. It's not consumable, but anywho, once you have everything that you are getting ready to put your floor wash or your bath together, mise en place, have it all in place, prepared to be combined into this beautiful concoction. Okay, so a few herbs, white mustard, to uncross and protect. That's one herb. Pine needles to remove negativity. Okay. Lemongrass. I love the smell of lemongrass. Oh my God, I love the smell of lemongrass. Lemongrass and lavender. Love it. Okay. To cleanse and purify vibrations. Okay. You are the practitioner. You set the tone of your sacred palace. Okay. So, what type of vibrations are you embodying or housing within that you want to exude into your physical world? Okay. Before I move forward, let's discuss some ways to prepare your wash as well as how long to conduct these. Okay. So underneath my bullet of mise en place, okay, we are talking about ways you can prepare your washes. You can do infusions, okay. This is allowing herbal mixtures to steep at a prescribed amount of time. You'll take bring, say for instance, 4 cups of water to a boil, turn off heat, add maybe 4 to 6 tablespoons of loose herbs in, allow it to steep. Okay. But it really depends on how big of a concoction that you're using. I'm saying that for a reason because I will come back to that. Okay. Um, the decantation, I hope I said that correctly, but you see it up there. Okay, adding woody botanicals to water before you begin heating. Okay, so before you actually heat up the pot, you're going to have your wooded herbs, say like your motherwort and stuff like that. And you're going to allow it to simmer into the water for a certain amount of time. Okay. You can dissolve mineral crystals, can be done in a pot or a hot bath. Okay. Place them in small Muslim bags in bath if you want to do that instead of allowing it to be dissolved in the bath. That helps with like cleaning up the bath. Because how many of you have done spiritual baths and you have loose herbs, and once you're done, it's time for you to clean that bathtub, and the cleaning aspect of that bathtub after you have taken a bath can it really depends on how much herbs you use, again, very much so. Diluting. Okay. You can dilute some things. I don't have this up here, but this is some other things when you're adding oils. We're talking about as far as your spiritual bath preparations. You know, some oils are very, how would I say, they're not very nice to the skin, but you want to ensure that you understand that before you use the actual oil, and ensure that you dilute that oil so it doesn't irritate the skin. Okay. You again, I was talking about teas. You can make your teas for ingestion. Okay. Now, as for teas, I like to make my teas separate from making my floor washes, because I don't necessarily have to have a pot of water on the stove. I can just put it in my tea bag and let it steep for however long. Before using herbs, I love to smoke cleanse them with a Palo Santo stick. Any herb that I'm using, before I start actually using it, I have these glass bowls that I like to put in, and I just like to go over it and give it a nice cleanse, speak over it, speak their purpose as to what they are serving, far as the my light want to do whatever the fuck she wants to do too. Far as what is my intentions on utilizing these herbs, okay? So that's where seal with sacred words or prayer, okay? Also be sure to utilize tools such as pots and pans, spray bottles that are especially for your spiritual cleansing practices at best you can, okay? I wanted to make that very clear because you want to have your own separate tools for just your spiritual practices and everything versus your mundane. I have stuff separate because the energy, I'm thinking about energetic wise. Okay, what you have far as your spiritual tools to tap into your spiritual magic, practice your magic, and all of the things. Keep that separate from your mundane things, far as your eating utensils, or the pots and pans that you use to cook with, and everything. Okay, separate your spiritual tools from your mundane household cleaning. Okay, and what I do want to reiterate, far as how much herbs you use, say like you're creating a floor wash, you drain it, and you have a lot of herbs left because you made like, maybe say like you got pounds of herbs in your floor wash, okay, and you drain it, the herbs at the end. What I do, this is a suggestion, I like to use those herbs that I strain from my floor wash. I like to put them in a separate like a pot or a container. But what I do, I actually go outside my house and I sprinkle those remains around my house, and I incite my sacred words, my prayers, my incantation, as I sprinkle it all around the perimeters of my home. Okay, so how often? You are called to however often you need to. Okay. Some do as needed. Okay. Some incorporate these practices in their regular routine. So it's something that they do on a regular basis. If you are one that is new to doing this and you're starting to, your journey here, and you have unwanted energy around you, it's highly recommended to at least do this for, I want to say, maybe a week. Let's do a week. 7 days, okay? Do 7 days of just practicing giving yourself a spiritual bath. Remember, physically cleanse first, but practice giving yourself that spiritual cleanse. Some practitioners do it daily, okay? Some conduct it periodically as well with timings. Remember, we talked about the planetary cycles, lunar cycles, time in our last episode. Majority of some occultists will actually utilize those energies, those celestial energies, to cleanse their homes. Oh, it's a perfect time to cleanse this. It's a perfect time to cleanse that. So think about that. If you want some more information on the lunar or just the celestial timings in general, refer back to our episode 13. Okay. All right, let's take it to slide 4. We're talking about smoke, fragmentation. Okay. All right. That is feeling or exposing a person, place, or thing to smoke or vapor. Just so you know. Now, the air in your home is where you breathe all the air within your sacred space. When you breathe in, when Sis Star had us do 3 beautiful breath works, within the invocation. Okay. How was the air? Did it feel clear? Did it feel stagnant? This is where that comes from. And by the way, these practices are rooted deep within the hoodoo tradition. Okay. So a lot of individuals learn these and experience these practices by learning through types of hoodoo practices as well. So our ancestors, tapped into the hoodoo practice and everything, cleansing of the home. So a lot of this is ways that you might not even realize it, that your family members may have done it before and it's just been passed down and you just haven't really had that understanding. I do want to put out there that these traditions are from that tradition. And I do have some books later on. We'll talk about it. I just wanted to dive on into this teaching here. Okay. Now that we've prepped and prepared our physical vessel and our sacred palace, we move into mutation. Okay. Smoke has been used in hoodoo and other spiritual practices because its aromatic substance influences the atmosphere. Okay. Clearing that air, removing what no longer serves, removing that stagnant energy. Think about those commercials. Do you remember those disinfecting spray commercials? Okay. Like, trying to think, maybe like Lysol or something like that. And they're advertising their spray and they're talking about how the spray, when you spray it and you see like an image of the spray in like a bubble and it traps in like this dirt and then it just, vaporizes that energy because the bubble came. And think of it like that when you're doing your smoke cleanse. Okay. It's removing that dirty, trapped air. Smoke is used in many ways, okay? Purification, protection, consecration, okay? Offering to your ancestors, energies such as the deities we talk about here, spirit attraction, spirit, excuse me, I had to burp. Spirit elimination, okay? Preparations for rituals. Again, any ritual that I do, I love to smoke and cleanse that area down. I wipe the shit down first, but I actually smoke and cleanse down. I'm sure every other practitioner does that. Clear that space so that you can have a clear and sound working in that space. Okay. Cleansing the vibrations of self, family, and your sacred palace, your home. Okay. So everyone in your household gets this beautiful feeling. Okay. When you're cleansing with smoke, family, please ensure that you have windows open or even your door. Have it open. If you keep them closed, while you are smoking that shit down, you're doing nothing but just stirring the pot. Just imagine stirring a giant pot of soup. That's basically what you're doing. And the energy that you intentionally want to remove is just swirling around in the air, having a little dance with the smoke that you got, just swirling around, just whoo, like they on a little roller coaster ride or maybe the little teacup ride. You got to open the windows, the doors, have areas open where that energy can escape. Because even though they're swirling around, they might be suffocating while they're swirling around as well. But, still have those windows open, okay? Smoke is very powerful. There are certain types of smoke you can use to cleanse, purify, and protect yourself and your sacred space. Okay, so I got a few things here. The types of smoke. Okay, we have white sage. And remember how I said, understand the herbs that you're using. Okay, because every herb is intentional to what it is that you're doing. Okay. Let's get some examples of some of these herbs here. Okay. White sage. That is deep for purification and the removal of negative energy. Okay. You also have black sage, introspection, dream work, and inner healing. Okay. You have clary sage. This helps with emotional balance and hormonal harmony. Okay. Incense. Also, incense. Understand what type of incense that you're using. Okay. This is where understanding the herbs takes place as well. Different incense brings different intentions. Okay. So, there are incense that are in lavender form. There are incense that are in Palo Santo form, sage. However, hell, you can make your own incense. Okay, that's a class me and Sister are definitely gonna dive into. We're gonna do that one day, Sister. We definitely gonna do that one. I'm pretty sure Sister probably already knows, but we're gonna do that one day because I like when you make your own shit that intensifies the magic, which it intensifies the energy within your home because you created it. You have your intentions in it. And look how powerful it works for you when you intentionally cleanse your home, yourself with the shit you create. Okay. Palo Santos sticks. I love the smell of Palo Santos, cleansing, clearing heavy and negative energy, and also inviting peace back into the home. Now, camphor. Okay. I found some on Amazon. It's like little squares. You get a charcoal disc, burn the charcoal disc, burn the camphor on top of that. That is really good to block out negative energy, sharpen mental focus, and purifies atmosphere. It definitely does exactly what I just said it does. I've actually used it before. So when cleansing the air, you're cleansing the air that you breathe in. Also, remember the air element represents our thoughts, so you definitely get some sort of mental clarity here. You actually get to see clearly, not just with these eyes, but with this eye as well. Imagine the feeling of your sacred palace being lifted vibrationally when you actually do this. Have you ever cleansed your home and got that smoke, got the windows out open and everything, and you can feel the vibration lift because you just did that, and you like, damn, I didn't realize I needed to do that. It makes ever more the difference, and it feels so good. Okay, clear thoughts, favorable outcomes for your spiritual practice, and the vibrancy of your sacred palace. Some smoke is not able, hold on, what did I say? Okay, smoke is able to fill the rooms, but other reasons smoke is good when it comes to cleansing. It enters corners, okay, removing any stagnant energies in the corners. So when you waving your stick around or whatever smoke that you're using, ensure that you tap and touch them corners, get in the corners. It moves around objects, okay? Just slither and slide because it's the smoke gliding through, and it rises and falls, means it goes up to the ceiling all the way to the floor. Okay, so all right, let's go to our next slide here. And we're talking about salt water. Okay. Boundary and purification. Okay. Water cleanses and carries, salt preserves, defines and restricts. Together they form purification with boundary. Water equals purifies through removal, washing away. Transform your water for sacred cleansing by programming your water with your intentions. Remember your sacred prayer, your however you see fit. A lot of people revert to the Bible, the Psalms. You can still use that. I personally like to use my own words. My own words are more powerful when I create my own things, because if I'm using someone else's words, am I truly really feeling those words? No. I use my own stuff, but I'm not saying you can't. You definitely can, get your start in there. start Get your start in there. But definitely, when you start to do this, you'll definitely come to a a conclusion, or just a realization with self that, hey, I can say this shit myself, and it don't have to be no long scripture. It can just be a simple sentence that you remember, and it holds so much power and so much weight. Okay, remember, water holds memory too. So whatever you speak into it, you have now activated and programmed that water. Okay. There are types of water that you can use for your sacred cleansings. Okay. Spring water, rainwater, stormy water. Okay. Let me pause right there. I use spring water all the time. I've also collected stormy water. Now, I be guided to go out and collect this water. I don't always collect rainwater. I'm putting that out there because we are aware that some of this rain is not necessarily natural rain. So when I am spiritually guided to go out in nature to collect the stormy waters, I do so. And when I say that shit is powerful, that shit is powerful, okay? Just want you to know that shit is very powerful. Rivers, lakes, and oceans, okay? Waters that you can collect to create your salt waters, or anything far as your washes, okay? Florida waters are actually created, and there are different ways you can use Florida water. One of the main ingredients is I think it's the 90 proof alcohol. I want to say 90 proof and beyond, something like that. But it's really good with disinfecting things far as spiritual cleansing when you use the alcohol. But you can make Florida water using any type of herb. Again, it really depends on your intention. Now, if you don't have none of these, I did not forget you. Tap water is all you have. This is what I want you to do. I want you to allow that water to boil that water. Okay. I want to say maybe 10-15 minutes, or whatever you are called to, because when you do these practices, you'll start to internally hear yourself, hey, that's enough. That's good. Let's use that water right there. Okay. So I want you to be clear. There are many ways that you can get stuff done. Just because we're sharing tools to use, that doesn't mean you have to go out and get it. Utilize what you have. Your intention is what is the most powerful thing. Okay. Salt is valuable because it preserve. Why does it want to say the other word? Lips, get it together, damn it. Salt preserves, making boundaries visible. 11, that's his star. Okay. Salt symbolic connection. Reason why salt is highly used in a lot of spiritual practices is it's very incorruptible. Okay. Bringing in that stability and its resistance to decay. I don't know if y'all ever seen like any movies. I'm a 90s baby, so I was born 1990. From the top all the way to the bottom, I was there. Okay. I got all 90 shit all up in here. So 90 heavy strong. Now, if you guys seen Hocus Pocus, they even got an actually in all three movies, because I think it's 3 Hocus Pocus movies. Let me not get off topic, but I'm talking about the salt. How, when they had salt, just the salt created a barrier. Or if you watch Adventure Time, I like cartoons too, y'all. Okay, Nick Ross. I like cartoons. And if you're not, my bad on your part, loves. Okay. There is a episode of Adventure Time, and so there's this kingdom called Bubblegum Kingdom. So the Bubblegum Kingdom is ruled by Princess Bubblegum, and her butler is a peppermint. Okay. Peppermint Butler is his name. And Peppermint Butler is highly spiritually in tune. He knows his concoctions. He knows what type of herbs and oils to use for protection. When Bubblegum say, hey, I need you to do this for the spiritual side. When I say Peppermint Butler be on it, doggone it, he does. And he did this one where he went to Finn and Jake's house and he created a salt circle around them, keeping any type of negative spiritual negative energy, or whatever you want to call it, because my tongue want to do all kind of things. No pun intended. No pun intended. Okay. But it did block that negative energy from coming in. So I wanted to give some examples of that. And check these cartoons out. Check these cartoons out. Adventure Time is definitely a cartoon for those who have their actual first eye. They call it the third eye, but it's actually your first eye. If it's fully fucking open, you'll definitely understand what they're talking about. Okay, we can talk about cartoons all day. Let me move on. Okay, salt is used for purification, protection, and banishing. Okay, but there are also types of salts. Okay, there are many types of salt. Okay, I only listed a few salts. There are a lot of salts that you can use for your practices here. Again, it's all about intention. You have your white salt, you have your black salt, pink Himalayan salt. That's definitely good for emotional balance and getting in touch with your internal self for self-love. Epsom salt is highly used to relax the muscles in the body as well. Okay, program your salt with your intentions as well. Remember what you've programmed your salt water for. Once used, don't allow it, okay, whatever it is that you cleared or banished, don't give it access back into the home, because you've already cleared that. That also includes up here mentally, because here, this is also another form of your home. Okay, if it starts to come up, dispute that shit, let it go. Okay, you've cleared it. All right, I wanted to make that very, very clear. Okay, very, very clear. Let's talk about spiritual baths now. And just so you guys know, again, these ingredients and everything are very interchangeable depending on what it is that you're creating. Okay. All right. We're talking about spiritual baths, cleansing the body before crowning it. Works upon the practitioner. Spiritual baths used are for purification, preparation, transition, protection, uncrossing, removal, restoration, initiation, okay, contact with the sacred. When conducting these or preparing yourself for one, be sure you have, again, your intentions. Focus on one intention that is the most valuable. Okay, we did speak on this. I believe we were talking about our candle magic segment. And Sister Indigo mentioned having that one intention. If you have multiple intentions, you're going to confuse the subconscious mind. Focus on one thing at a time. What's the most valuable right now that you want to clear and cleanse, that's causing you the most stagnation, that making you feel stuck, that making you feel as if this is the time to do this? Okay. All right. Water could mark the passage from one condition into another. And going back to ancient times, and definitely with our hoodoo practices and everything, you do see them conducting spiritual baths, spiritual rituals, especially when those are becoming of age of some sort of initiation. Far as say, like, I love this one where this young lady did a coming of age for her daughter for getting her first cycle. You know, she did a bath for her daughter. I love when we do stuff far as coming of age, far as in womanhood, you know, expressing, you know, ourselves in that way. So water is definitely a passageway from one condition to another. okay, aka water portals, okay, purifying that threshold within, okay. There are two types of spiritual baths. You can do soak-ins. This is where you fully immerse your full body within the bath, okay, or pour overs if you're in the shower, or something like here. The goddess here, she has two goddesses pouring cups of water over her. They're just pouring a cup of water over her from top to bottom, okay. And sometimes when people do pour overs, they're not necessarily washing from top to bottom. They're at times just washing certain body parts. But I'm a motherfucker that likes to go from head to toe. Okay. I know there are some sisters that do care about their hair. Okay. So I do have a hairdo warning. Okay. If you really do care about your hair getting wet, and it does matter to you and you're not comfortable with that just yet, I say just yet because you will. I ain't going to put that out there, but you'll understand along the way. All right. Wash from neck down and then wash your face. Okay. Otherwise, pour water over your head, submerge that motherfucker, dunk your head into the water. Okay. But when you are conducting this, remember how I said, based on your intentions, understand the herbs that you're using, understand the oils. And with your bath, you can also include candles. Okay, have them around the tub. Okay, I like to at times have some soothing music depending on what it is. As well as some crystals that actually resonate with whatever it is that I'm conducting my spiritual bath with. Okay. Be mindful though when you use crystals, if you put them in the water, understand whether or not that crystal can get wet. Not every crystal wants to be in the water, because not every one of them you cleanse them in water. Not all crystals belong in water. I just want to make that clear. If it's not a crystal that belongs in the water, put it around the bath along with the candles as well. Another thing I want to reiterate also, preparing a hot cup of tea. Okay, so say that you have your bath and you added some oils in there. The oils you can't necessarily consume. However, the herbs from that bath, you can still, not saying use the herbs within the bath, but before you put the shit in there, okay, make sure you set some herbs aside. Put it in a tea bag, brew it, let it steep. While you're in your spiritual bath, you're not only cleansing the physical vessel spiritually on the outside, you're doing it internally by consuming the actual herbs that you have in your bath too as well. Okay. Your head is a part of your body. So again, submerge that motherfucker in there if you feel comfortable. I understand there are some people who are not comfortable with that. That's why I included the hairdo warning. Okay. So you can also choose certain times to conduct your bath. Okay. Remember how we talked about the times and everything. And this is one of the books. I don't know if you can see. I'm going to show it later. It's on the screen. It's Hoodoo Spiritual Bath, Practical Conjure with Washes and Waters. Okay. I had a page in here that I wanted to read. Okay. And it's about the timings when you can utilize these timings to conduct your spiritual bath. Okay. So here is the scenario. And this book is by Aura LaForest. Okay. She says combining times. You can combine two or more things far as timings, okay? For instance, you could bathe to remove the employment jinx as the clock hands fall on Sunday during a waning moon in Pisces. Then bathe for a better job as the clock hand rises on Thursday during a waxing moon in Virgo. Okay, so she's basically talking about how you utilize the moon phases, the clock. When the clock goes down, that's when you can do a bath for releasing and removal and all that. But when the clock hand is going up, That's when you can do spiritual bath to bring in, your beauty magic and everything. You can use that as well also. And thinking about the moon cycles as well. Sister had a beautiful segment on the lunar magic in our last Goddess After Dark episode 13. Okay. She also incorporated the actual signs. Each sign has their own individual understanding. Far as Pisces are known as being very emotional, very between worlds and everything. Virgo, very analytical, very analytical. I'm excited for whenever we do the astrology one because I love astrology. But I wanted to share that portion out of this book so that you can have that understanding in how to utilize the timing far as for your actual spiritual baths. Okay. Y'all can hear me swallow. My bad, y'all. Throat chakra open like a motherfucker. Okay, sister, no. I can hear me swallow on here. And it's loud as fuck. Floor washes cleanse where your feet rule. Okay. This is your palace. Cleanse where you rule. Do you want a dirty palace physically? You shouldn't want that shit dirty physically, nor should you want it dirty spiritually. Okay. A spiritual bath addresses the practitioner. However, a floor wash addresses the practitioner's environment. Everything meets the floor, dirt, food, hair, and even the vibrational energies within that sacred space. And this includes guests. Okay, when you have guests over and stuff like that, I have people take shoes off at my door, especially if you don't live here. Take your fucking shoes. I'm laughing at sister. Take your shoes off. I don't want that shit tracking in my house. Okay. Okay. Ask yourself, what has been brought into my space? Okay. What has accumulated here? What needs to be removed? Okay. Sit with self and ask yourself that. All right. Oh, excuse me. Oh my goodness. I'm just burping all over the place. Okay. So the floor is more than just underneath your feet. It is the ground instructor of your palace. Depending upon the working, washes might be used for cleansing unwanted conditions, protection, uncrossing, prosperity, luck, and attraction or other purposes. Okay. And reason why I want to add that in there, our floors, they hold a lot of vibration as well when you walk. Okay, that's where your groundedness and everything comes from the top all the way down to your feet. So you stomping around angry, you're putting that energy into your floor and all that stuff. So think of it like that. Everything is frequency, everything is energetic. Floor wash ingredients may include a little more than tea and bath blends, such as this is where I was pronouncing the word ammonia. I think I said that right. But the AMMONIA, ammonia. Okay, thank you, sister. Okay, this is the ammonia. Okay, a lot of people add that into the floor wash as well. Very good with cleansing, helping to cleanse away those vibrations that you trying to get the fuck up out of there. Florida water is good too as well. You can make your own Florida water or you can buy it from the store. Again, I'm a motherfucker that like to make their own shit. But however, there are moments where I could be strapped for ingredients to create my own stuff. I go and actually go get it. Before I utilize anything that I buy that I didn't make, I cleanse that shit before I use it. I say what I feel over it and do that and then use it. That's just me. Chinese washes too as well. These are a couple of examples that people add into their floor washes, and the direction of the way that you wash matters from back to front. Okay, back to front. You bringing that shit to the front so you can clear that shit out. Okay, now from front to back, you bringing it in. Okay, we're talking about banishing and protecting in all of that aspects there. So we're gonna back to front. Let's go on, take that from the back and push that motherfucker on out the door. Okay. The direction tells the wash what kind of movement the ritual is representing. Okay. Okay. All right, let's go on to our next slide here. And we are talking about the threshold work. The door is a magical technology. Okay, it is. Okay, threshold equal doorway, the liminal point. Okay, a place where you exist into the next level of your spiritual elevation. Okay. One of the clearest understandings and boundaries, because you can close the door on somebody and say, I ain't fucking with that. Okay, I'm just being honest. Is you could just close. I ain't got to deal with that energy. Kaboom, close it. Anything from the outside world that you bring into your home with you passes through your threshold. I want you all to think about that when you're coming back from being social with society. Think about what you're carrying. Did such and such do like a trauma dump on you, and now you just like, oh my God, da, 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 and you walking into your house, you bringing that into your threshold. Okay, think about that at your jobs and everything. So it's very important that you have your protection on you. If you're a motherfucker that sucks shit in like a sponge, like me, because I'll suck some shit in like a sponge and bring it home. That was something I was definitely guilty of when I was in the workforce and everything. So I'm bringing this to you not because I'm just saying the shit, because it's very, very, very in spirit. I would say I experienced it. There we go. I was gonna come up with another word, but it wasn't coming out the way that I wanted to. Anything from the okay, I read that part. Treat your doorways as well as your windows as energetic spiritual boundaries. Okay. The doorway is one. Okay, allowing or restricting passage based on you yourself. Okay, your doorway is where you restrict anything that you don't want within your palace. So you have the power to restrict that, okay? Um or if it's something that you want to allow in, you have the power to allow that. Physical equals either allowing access or not. Spiritual equals your internal passageway to self. Okay. I wanted to add that in there because you actually internally, again, like I was saying, whatever it is that you was doing socializing with the outside world, you can actually internally digest that, and you allow your spiritual threshold to be introduced to this energy that later on may probably disrupt your peace and stuff like that. So be mindful of what energies that you're exchanging with and everything. Whom do you allow amongst your palace? Not everyone belongs in your sacred space. Um, I'm not a person that always like a whole lot of motherfuckers around here. This is not something new. All of my past I would say lovers, they'll tell you this. She don't really like motherfuckers at the house. I don't. You got to have some fucking good ass energy. You have got to have some. If I feel that the energy is not good, you ain't coming in here. You ain't coming. I don't care. Such and such has a great to you. To you. Okay, they ain't coming in here. So everyone should not have access to your sacred palace. Okay, your doorway is your point of power. People cross it. Objects cross it when you like bringing in new TVs, bringing in groceries. Okay, air crosses it. Okay, it goes through the cracks, sound, etc. Everything crosses the threshold. Anything from the outside world that you bring home with you passes through your threshold. Treat your home's doorways, including your windows, as energetic spiritual boundaries. I wanted to say that one more time. Okay, just so you can understand. Cleansing and clearing the threshold. Physically wash your door frames, the door from top to bottom, your windows, and all around it. You know, from the first slide, when I talk about physically cleaning the vessel, this is where this comes into play. Ensure that you're actually physically cleaning it. Okay. I like to do a smoke cleanse in those areas. Remember how I said get the corners, get the damn threshold too, the windows, the doors, and everything. Okay. Get those areas too. Okay. You can do herbal washes for your door as well. Okay. Again, intentions matter. Okay. Um, you can also put protection amulets on your door as well. Okay, sacred protection amulets, bells on your door as well. Putting a bell on your door, it actually, clears the energy in that threshold. Okay. Um, our ancient ancestors, and as well as be doing the hoodoo practices as well, anoint their doors. Okay, you can anoint your door with some charged oil that you have. Okay. um so yeah, these are good ways to clear the thresholds. Okay. Make sure when you do this, apply it to the steps, the frames, and the entrance way where the feet actually steps onto the door frames. Make sure that you apply that threshold work. This is a type of magic here. And this type of magic is, oh, my bad. This type of magic is magic that helps to turn away, repel, or ward off apo, apotropic magic. Okay. You'll see it up there. So that's the type of magic that you'll utilize. And I also want to give you a few other types of thresholds to actually clear and cleanse as well. Let's say your temples, your homes, your tombs, your gates. If you have outside gates outside your house, I have gates, a gate outside my house. I also like to clear and cleanse that threshold. Even though it's on the outside, it's still my energetic bubble. My whole perimeter, that is my energetic bubble. Okay. So I don't allow any type of unwanted energies to pass, not even the front areas of my sidewalk. Okay. I don't play that shit. Okay. I don't play that. I'm very big on energies. Okay. Um, so that is that there. Okay. So let's talk about some practical safety measures here. Power without recklessness. Okay. A cleansing practice should never create physical hazards in the name of removing a spiritual energetic energy that you trying to get rid of. It should not be a hazard. Okay. Know the substance before you make it sacred. I've been talking about how understanding the herbs and everything, any substances that you're using, know it. Before you use anything, ask, is it safe for the skin? Is it safe to burn and inhale? Because not everything is safe to inhale. Okay. Is it safe around the children? Is it safe around the animal family? I realize I do not like to call them pets. Pets might make them feel like they've been called slaves. Okay, they're not no slave. They animal family. But this is just me. Okay, I got highly earth in my chart. Okay. How well is it on surfaces? Is it safe? Have you ever used a cleaning product on a surface and you looked and it looked like it did more damage to the surface than it did cleaning it? Okay, then you start reading that motherfucker and you be like, what kind of shit is in here? They got my damn wooden table look like it's been stripped off. The paint and all this type of stuff. Or your marble tables, it's not having that marble shine anymore. Okay. Ensure you understand its uses, external or internal. Okay, I say internal because some of this stuff I was mentioning about consumption when I mentioned teas. Okay, so make sure you're aware of all of those. Okay, natural does not mean harmless. Think essential oils, salt, powders, anything that may irritate the skin. Okay. With oils, remember how I said ensure that you're diluting that so the skin isn't irritated, but you should definitely understand what it is that you're using. Okay. Understand the herbs based off of your intentions. Never freestyle chemical mixtures, especially if you have not got that understanding of what it is that you're using. Read the ingredients. Okay, if you're mixing chemicals, understand, because you're gonna fuck around. Say like you have a bucket full of bleach water and you got the damn bathroom closed. Ain't nothing open to air that motherfucker out, and you about to fucking pass out because you got bleach all over the damn place. Okay, don't kill yourself trying to clean. Okay, unless it's your time. I don't know. If that's how you're supposed to go, then do what you feel is right for you. Smoke must have somewhere to go. This is where I said open the windows. Okay. Know when your crown should be washed and when it shouldn't. This goes back to our sisters or even brothers, because I see y'all even getting the wig pieces as well. If you really care about the hair, there at some points you do want to cleanse the crown. And I do want to recommend this. If you're one that don't want to dunk your head into your bath water, do something separate, like let's say make a herbal hair wash, spiritual hair wash just for your hair. Okay, and wash it in the sink, but allow your crown to be cleansed. I really feel, based off my own experience, when you fully spiritually cleanse from head to toe, you reap the benefits to its full capacity. Okay, because not only you energetically cleanse yourself. Okay, your crown, everything that's going on within the head, because you have your crown chakra as well as your third eye chakra, you can see more clearly. You can, visualize things more authentically. Okay, label what you create. Okay, if you have stuff left over, it's important to label what it is, what's in it, put a date. Okay, I recommend you freeze it if it's too much. If you leave it into the refrigerator, I'm sure the lifespan is much shorter than you would freeze it. Okay, so that's why I said freeze it instead. Okay, protect the inhabitants while protecting the palace. Okay, this is yourself, this is your animal family, your whole family in general. Threshold work brings another practical dimension. Okay. Each door that you walk into, you're entering in many different portals. Okay, so just wanted to let you know, even though when you're in your house, like me being in this room, this is one area. I go out this threshold here, I enter into my living room portal. So think about that, especially when it comes to understanding energies. Okay, don't create a protective doorway and it becomes a physical hazard. Okay, so I want you to keep that fully in mind as well. All right, so these are my references. Okay, so the Hoodoo Spiritual Bath book, that is the book that I had read that passage out of, page 27. She has a lot of ingredients that you can use to practice, far as floor washes, spiritual baths, teas, all the like. Everything in this book you can definitely get out of there, and everything. I want to give you the opportunity to do your own due diligence and research and resonate with the herbs that resonate with you. I was thinking of sharing a ingredient that you can put together yourself. However, I heard myself say you also have to be aware, again, like I said earlier, not every herb is for everyone. So allow others to go out and do their own searches and just provide them the tools that they can go get the information from. And these are the tools that I have. Chuck D. Pierce, protecting your home from spiritual attacks. Did I say that? Spiritual darkness, because chat and cut my fucking book off right there. But is protecting the home from spiritual darkness. Almost said it again. Okay, so this is a good book to help you understand how to protect your home, understanding how to actually come up with your own incantations, your own prayers to pray over your washes and everything. And he gives a few examples of having spiritual discernment and everything. So this is a good book for that. Hoodoo, herb, and root magic. I love this book because it is like a hoodoo encyclopedia. It has all kinds of herbs in here. It teaches you about what it's used for, as far as hoodoo practices. It teaches you how to do mojo bags, all of the great things that hoodoo practitioners do. I love that it also includes stuff that helps you with all kinds of washes or magical trinkets, far as protection, far as removing and stuff. So it's a good book to understand herbs for everything that you want to use it for. Okay. And the Holy Bible, not Holy Bible, but the Holy Herbs, the modern connection to ancient plants. This also is just another book that helps you understand plant medicine, help you understand herbal magic more clearly. Okay, so these are my references for my segment here. I am going to take my slides off of here because I am done presenting. And I affirm, let me pull me back up. I affirm, okay, sister, I affirm that you took some very beautiful information from what I just shared. If there is something that you would like to share that I might have missed, by all means, put it in the comment section below. What are some of your sacred spiritual cleaning practices that you would like to share with our brothers and sisters here tonight that's watching our segment this very moment right now? And yeah, y'all. Yeah. When you do this and you realize how liberating it is when you conduct this and the feeling of the atmosphere changes, the feeling, and you were like, damn, I did that with my own magic. I did that. It's very liberating. You want to continue to do this for yourself. Okay. Remember, go off your intentions. Okay. Go off when you are internally led to do it. If you don't go by these celestial timings, okay, you can definitely utilize the celestial timings, but go off what is guided to you. Awesome. We got Sister Indigo back.
Yes.
Sister.
Excuse me, y'all. Whoa.
You
Yes.
have me cracking up in the back. She had me cracking up.
That orange juice. Yeah, you was had me cracking up, girl.
I was just telling the truth. All right, sister, the floor is yours. I know
Absolutely.
you got some amazing information to share with the mystics, so let you go ahead and get to it, sister. All right.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Peace, y'all. Peace, y'all. So, how did it go? Goddess had some fire knowledge. She also had some fire imagery, and I hope you all was able to get some great notes. And she talked more on the practical side. I am going to bring you more of the deeper occult knowledge on all of these subjects in regards to protecting, binding, warding, closure, and things of that sort, shielding. Okay. So definitely make sure, if you need a new pen, that other pen skipping, go ahead and get it. Make sure you got a fresh highlighter, because we're gonna get a little bit, not even a little bit, it's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be exciting. But I want you to have this knowledge because, Sister beautifully told you, how you can do things I'm gonna just get into the deeper psychology on it. Okay. So I'm just gonna bring my presentation to the screen. All right. And that is not the right one. All right, here we go. Yes. So we are doing protection and binding. Okay. So let's talk about protection first, because protection is the umbrella as with uh, all of these other sub subjects fall up under. Okay. And I got my notes here because, you know, I want to make sure, my mind just gets to going when I start my notes, but I want you to be able to have this knowledge of things that I've studied and learned, and as well as remembered and uh, picked up over the years. Okay. All right. I'm going to go bigger so you all can see this, for those that are taking notes. So, this is the first distinction that I want to establish, because so much spiritual language gets compressed until every practice starts meaning the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So someone cleanses the house and calls it protection, right? And then, or someone may burn some incense and call it banishing. I'm banishing this space. Or someone put a little salt in the doorway and they may call it cleansing or warding, um, or establishing a boundary, depending upon what they are actually doing with it, right? And the material may be the same. Like they're using the same salt they're dipping in just to do everything. Like, oh, I'm warding. Oh, I am binding. Oh, I am cleansing. You know, um, and I don't want it to sound like, hey, Indigo, wait a minute. You told us a couple episodes back that these are just tools, in which they are, but using the proper tools, especially when you're doing things like cleansing or removing something from your life. You want to be very intentional, and there are tools and ways to intentionally have an effective effect in your life. Yes, you still are the magic. You are the one that make it up. These are the basics, and now we're teaching you why you do those things. That way you can have a full understanding. This is a holistic channel of teaching here. Okay? So I just want you to have the all. All right, but anyway, back to what I'm saying, 'cause I don't want to go all the way on that side. I will, but but the operation is determined by purpose, right? Placement, authority, and attention. Intention, not attention. Right. So cleansing primarily concerns removal, right? Something has accumulated that does not belong in the present, right? Condition or place or body or altar or a ritual event or a ritual, environment, right? So we remove it. It is similar to clearing a room before beginning sacred work, right? You are taking away what would interfere with what you are preparing to establish in itself. So protection then comes after, right? As a large principle, protection asks how the integrity of the space will now be maintained. If I clean my physical house, I have removed dirt, but I'm not automatically like locking the door, right? It's just cleansed. So locking the door would symbolize protection, correct? The cleaning and the security serve as two completely different functions, right? Spiritually, the same concept, it absolutely applies, right? It's the same concept there. So, the main thing here I want you to really understand is that cleaning, excuse me, ooh, tongue tied, okay. Cleaning removes, protection actually governs, right? So think you could sweep a floor that doesn't look, you know, you could sweep a floor that doesn't lock the door. You know, it's a cute little rhyme. I just had to rhyme right quick because hey, I wrote it down. You can wash a window, but that doesn't determine who comes through it, right? So magical purification. Well, I don't know why I can't say that word just for a moment. That doesn't make sense. But anyway, magical purification. It happened again. I just thought I had it, y'all. So you get what I'm saying. And magical defense should not automatically be treated as the same procedure, right? Protection material in your source repeatedly distinguish clearing from establishing, right? Protective boundaries, shielding and maintaining those protections in itself. So just to give a little distinction here, teaching a deeper distinction, cleaning, it removes the buildup, right? It removes any type of residue, be it dirt or energy, right? Unwanted condition, it looks a mess or it feels a mess. You can go both ways with that. That's going to be the spiritual and the physical, right? Or accumulated influence, right? Protection in itself is a large category of practices intended to preserve the integrity of you, the practitioner, object, or altar, or ritual, or even your environment. Protection isn't one spell. Protection is a system. It's the whole system. It's the umbrella, right? It contains it all. Okay? So that's going to be the foundation. So let's go ahead and see what else we got here, because you need to know the operation. Let me get to my next one. I just want y'all to see this for a minute while I get my notes. I thought this was dope. Protection is not cleaning, is not protection, right? All right. So, but you need to know the operation you are performing, right? You need to know the operation that you are performing. So I just want to kind of correct the vocabulary here, right? Because I don't want you, I really don't, it's really not what I want, but I'm just going to put it in those terms. I don't want you to be out here saying cleanse, banish, protect, ward, shield, and think all 6 of those are the same thing, right? They're all different, right? Protection, again, that's the umbrella. That's the strategy of preserving spiritual integrity in itself, right? Shielding. Now, shielding primarily concerns with operation, the operator and personal field, right? That's the personal field of things. Put that over there. A shield surrounds and reinforces the practitioner, against unwanted influences, right? A shield surrounds, oh, I did too. So something here I do want to get across to you is that just to give you kind of an idea of what that would look like in itself. So shielding, some materials could be like visualized fields. You know how you visualize yourself in a white bubble, as you begin some guided meditation. I'm just saying, you know, but that's a shield, right? Uh, Even if it's a bubble or field in itself, like some type of, I don't know, film or a spear in itself or some type of barrier, but methods of shielding, another methods of shielding is basically giving you protection, that protection, that's that form of protection in itself. Okay. Kind of lost my thoughts here. Because I wanted to say something here, but it's okay. So, but what's important though, a shield is usually about you, right? And just a quick distinction before we go fully into ward, a ward is usually about the territory. So giving you those two to understand and place together and compare, now you get more of an idea, where a shield is. Okay. Now let's go ahead and go into warding since I did bring it up. Okay. So warding establishes a boundary, hit my mic. Warding establishes a boundary around a location, an entrance, an object, or a defined territory in itself. Like a home, your doorway, your window, an altar, a ritual space, or a sacred object, or even, any type of property that you have, right? So a ward tells a boundary what is permitted to cross it. Okay? So let's make sure you have that there. Now, banishing. Well, let's talk about banishing. I know that some may be like, ooh, it's like a witchy word, right? And so, but no, banishing means to remove. Simply means to remove or expel, send away. In something unwanted present or conditioned within your working, within your ritual. Okay? And this distinction absolutely matters because protection says you cannot enter, but banishing actually would say you are already here, leave, goodbye. Okay? That's what it says. Goodbye. All right. So then you have binding. What is binding? All right. So binding isn't necessarily explosive, right? Exclusion. I'm sorry. It's quite not that, but binding is a restriction, though, right? Excuse me. It's a restriction. It says you may exist here, or you may exist, but you may not act here, right? So I see you sitting over there in the corner, but I'm gonna bang your lips shut and you can't say anything. I'm just saying, I'm just giving you a visual with that. That's exactly what that would mean. Or you could say your ability to interfere is restricted. Mind your business. Just mind your business. Okay. So this distinction is here because not every magical problem is solved by trying to eliminate or destroy something. Okay. That it doesn't automatically mean, oh, that didn't turn out. My candle the top of it was the top was black when we talked about candle magic. The top was black, but the bottom was clear. But you seen the black and you like burn it all. Let's take it all down. If everybody's banishing to me, it's you know, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that. Okay. So defensive work similarly through when you do or you the material I want to frame there is that defensive work similarly through containment, redirection, and neutralization, right? Rather than assuming everything must be attacked or eliminated. Okay. So that's the process you want to look at it as basically. So let's talk about sealing right quick. Sealing in itself, when you seal something shut, it is closure, right? Of course, everybody knows that. It's closing the ritual or it's closing the boundary. It's securing the result. You know, it also means that too. It doesn't mean that, you know, it's just on a more infinite side of, you know, closing that. But hey, now you did a ritual or you did a practice and you got a positive result. Let's seal that in. Okay. Because you can do that. That's something you can do. You know that, right? Okay. So preventing unnecessary continued exchange after the work has been completed, basically. Right? That's why you would seal at that point. So magical work should be intentionally closed rather than abruptly abandoned, while another then abandoned. You have structured your ritual as like if you were to structure your ritual, you would do something like your preparation, protection, activation, intention, closure, and integration, possibly. Okay, so that's the kind of structure that you would want to have in that aspect. All right, so we went through those points. Now, let's talk here a little bit more about the occult sciences of boundaries, right? Let's bring that in. Let me get these other notes here that I had on that because it was pretty deep. I try not to get too deep on y'all and keep y'all here all night, but you know, bear with me. Ooh. Okay, here we go. All right. So once we understand the difference between the operations, we can go now deeper into what a boundary actually is, right? In ordinary life, we actually understand boundaries through physical architecture, right? The walls, they tell us where the room begins and ends. A fence tells us where the property begins and ends, right? A doorway marks the point where one environment becomes another, right? Between the inside and the outside. Or as Goddess did talk to you all about the threshold, right? And I'll go into some deeper science upon the threshold on a psychological and occult level. But, you know, that's basically what a boundary is in itself. So it also, an object may be consecrated and therefore treated differently from an ordinary object, right? That's another way of, you know, creating that boundary. So property can be marked, protected, or ritually defended. So the occultist begins to understand in itself. We begin to understand that not simply as a empty, it's not an empty space, a boundary in itself, but a territory capable of being defined, ordered, and governed, right? So magically, territories does not necessarily stop at the physical wall, of course, magically speaking. There are several kinds of territories. The body, the personal field, again, the altar. What about the magical circle? The room itself, again, with the doorway. Also a ritual object that you may have, or a piece of land. Everyone can be, a lot of these things can be treated as a distinct magical juncture in a sense. So protection and the containment as a layer surrounding the spiritual engagement. This includes, I got this from a material. I just want to tell you first, I sound out the blue, but it's a book and I'm going to link it at the end. Well, instead of linking it is on my book slide. And so I read this book before. It was African mysticism, right? And so it talks about, or repeatedly phrased, and I'm going to read it here, protection and the containment as a layer surrounding spiritual arrangement, including barriers, containment, structures, ritual boundaries, and protected objects. Okay. So the cultist itself doesn't just ask, how do I protect myself? A more advanced question from an occultist would be, where does my authority begin and where does it end? And what have I permitted inside of it? Okay. So that would be more of a question. So I'm going to go a little, I did say I was going to talk about the threshold again, right? Because I know that, like I said, Goddess Southern discussed physically cleaning the threshold, but there's no but. Now I'm going to explain the magical meaning of the threshold, right? So a doorway isn't simply wood and hinges, right? Symbolically, it is the point where the outside becomes the inside, right? The public becomes private. The stranger becomes a guest. The unconsecrated becomes sacred. One state of consciousness becomes another. It's another way to look at that. So when occult traditions place objects, signs, seals, markings, or guardians near entrances. I know you've seen things like lions, gargoyles. Gargoyles are really popular in that aspect. But when they're placed at entrances, the location itself actually matters. So a threshold is a decision point. You're making that decision, right? All right. So let's move along here. So let's talk a little bit about warding and warding the temple in itself. Okay. Hope you all are able to see my notes on here. I'm going to also read them. But warding the temple, now let's move from theory into architecture in itself, right? Some deeper architecture. So a properly defended space may contain layers rather than one charm doing one thing, right? This is one of the strongest ideals from the This is one of the strongest ideas that I see from time to time. Thinking that one one thing can do it all, right? Basically. So layer protection can involve in itself, so it should contain layers. So these layers can involve personal shield, excuse me. Like you wear your obsidian crystal, or you may wear black tourmaline, or any type of crystal, or beads, or anything like that, that even an ankh can provide that type of physical ward, right? But then there's layers to it. So space boundaries, that's when you add your boundaries there. Sacred object, right? Seals and sigils, and continued reinforcement. You could think of this like a physical house, right? Let's think about a physical house. A house may have a door. These are layers, right? It has a lock, alarm, a fence, camera, lighting. There you have it. And then you wouldn't sit there and say, well, why do you need a lock? I already have a fence. Each layer has a different function, right? Because folks can hop the fence. So now your whole boundary is fucked up. I'm just saying. So an occult defense can be understood in the same way, right? So potential layers is what I got on here for y'all. It protects the operator, right? Potential layers, you have personal shield, I'm sorry. That protects the operator in itself. You have a ritual circle, as you see on the screen here. That defines the ritual territory. So saying this ritual, it doesn't have to be on the floor. Okay, please, let's open your mind. Okay, it could be on, you have crystal grids. That's an example, okay? And crystal grids are not always on the floor. You have one right on your table or on an altar. All right, so basically it defines the ritual territory. You have the threshold ward. That controls the entry, right? That's your doorway, right? Your entry. Then you have your protective symbols or sigils. What that does is encode and reinforces the protective command. And then you may have talismans, right? What they do. They carry anchors protective, they carry or anchors the protective energy in itself, right? And then you have a seal. So what can that do? It contains or regulates a defined force or space. That's what a seal does. And then you have your guardian symbol or your figure, right? That's that a sphinx, a gargoyle, a statue of a Sar, or whatever you're using, a statue of Ampu. That's Anubis, right? So represented protection station, that's represented protection stationed at the boundary. So that's what that is, right? So talisman, again, as a protective carries, a seal as a containment / regulation, a sigil as a specific directive or authority bearing the symbol, right? So I'm gonna just bring this up and notice it. So back on episode 12, when I talked to y'all about symbols, sigils, and sacred geometry, the symbol then goes in, it compresses the meaning, right? And then that then directly it directs the attention, right? So a symbol is placed at the boundary because becomes part of the architecture of the ward in itself. Now you all understand why we taught y'all about symbols before teaching you all about protection, right? Because how we're doing this is making sure we cover every step of this magical process, right? Again, holistic teaching, so you can practice in a holistic way, right? So now let's get into this banishing. Banishing. What is that? Well, banishing, not everything is war. You know that, right? Not everything is war. So you have internet spiritualists often teaches people to respond to every uncomfortable experience with banishing. Return to sender. Curse them. Block it. But a serious spiritualist should diagnose before acting, right? What people interpreted as a deliberate attack may sometimes be environmental discord or maybe an impersonal tension, right? Or something rather than a intentional operation is what I'm saying. You want to look at all sides of it, like in the Kabbalion, where it teaches us about the divine paradox. Being able to see all sides of the thing, especially before you react. Because remember what I told y'all, it's how you respond, right? That's everything. How you respond. So that's going to help you determine how you're going to respond to that situation. Not go home and tie a string between two black candles and burn them because somebody had an attitude and they called you a funky monkey or whatever it is. You know, now you all upset, but in actuality, they just lost their job and got choked by their neighbor and their big toe got ran over. And here you come asking some dumbass question to them. And they called you a funky monkey. Now you ready to go, but under attack. Oh my goodness. I'm just saying, you know, let's think about that a little bit here. Okay. So discern before escalate. Ask, is this residue? Is this my environment? Because energy, it moves around and it attaches to things. Okay. Is it an actual reoccurring problem? Not a problem? No. But is it a psychological or emotional response am I having? Was I triggered? Oh, she said monkey. And I remember my neighbor used to hang on his porch and call us all monkeys. And and throw banana peels at our heads. I mean, you know, do you all trigger? You know, hopefully y'all are definitely at a point where you have healed. So, and I'm just, you know, if you haven't, you need to. Okay, so is it poor boundaries? This star got me on a cracker. Is it poor boundaries or is it unfinished? What about an unfinished ritual work? Because it ain't been sealed or closed. Okay. How about something mundane? You know, just again, somebody ran over somebody pinky toe. And they just all upset. That hurt. Damn, they stubbed it. They damn near broke it and don't even know it. They upset about that. All right. Something or just the last thing here, something reoccurring spiritual, some reacquiring spiritual action. You know what I'm saying? Those are things you want to look at. So the intensity of the response should match the nature of the condition. Simply. Okay. You don't spiritually blow up every time some comfortable situation happens. Because I'm gonna tell you something, that's not mastery. And we are here to master self. And that is absolutely not mastery. You'll have some more time to go if that's your route. Right? So let me talk a little bit about some different types of banishing and then we'll move on, okay? So banishing itself, it can target a unwanted ritual atmosphere, as I stated before, an unwanted influence. And I'll talk a little slower so you all can write these down. I don't have them on the screen. I do. I do. Well, no, I don't. Here we are. Attached to a condition, a habitual pattern, right? Pattern that repeats. You know, you can write that in your notes. You don't have to write the word. How she spell habitual? Hey, don't go to the next one. Let me figure it out. Because that's a word that I don't write on. Okay, I get it. I get it. I get it. All right. Intrusive symbolic pattern, right? You say explain that one. That's what I'm hearing. Intrusive symbolic pattern. So you just seeing things. I mean, you know, we talked about this last episode. Not everything. Enjoy your experience a little bit. Not everything is hitting on your spiritual home every 5 seconds. A lot do. Be aware. Be aware. But not everything. You know what I'm saying? Some things come across and knowing that you have the demiurge energy, right? They know you can hyper assess over 555. So that's a way to pull on your energy and be at full source. I'm just saying. It's levels to this. All right? It's some in-betweens to this shit too. You know when it really means something for you, right? So I'm just saying, discernment. Discern. I know y'all crazy about that word cern. Let's put a dis in front of it. Discern. Okay. But I don't want to go too left. But so a fire is also used in some also used for x now I can't get elimination. That's what I want to say. And transformation, including the destruction of the written representation of what is being banished. So you write that down, no, or whatever it is. I'm just making up something, being hypothetical, but you take that and you burn that, right? That is symbolic elimination or transformation of whatever it is. So banishing isn't always fighting a spirit. Sometimes banishes is simply means ending a relationship between yourself and some type of condition. Right? Some type of condition, which is some outside force outside of yourself. Even it's between you and that damn sandwich. I'm just saying. You can banish that relationship. If you and that sandwich has just been friends every day, a couple times a day, and now your stomach is sitting on your lap because you know that sandwich is buddies, you can banish the sandwich. All right. You can banish the sandwich. So, just hit myself in the face. Okay, Mike. Hope it didn't make a sound. Okay. All right. So, banishing versus binding versus neutralization, right? Oh yeah, you like my slides here, okay? We gonna talk about it. We gonna talk about it. Boom, boom. Okay, okay. So now we know the difference. Let's look at here. Banish. I'm just want to give you. See, what I'm doing is speaking to your subconscious, right? For you dumb hoes. I'm just playing. I knew that was. I knew that was gonna make sense. Start fall out. Okay, but no, I'm speaking to your subconscious. Maybe for y'all retarded. I'm speaking. So what I'm giving you is visual. This is giving you. This is speaking. Look at the visual. Just look at it. Look at it. Banishing, leave. Get out of here. You got to go. It's over. In the voice of Martin, get your shit. That was more like Pam. Okay. All right. Binding. Do not act. Nope. Can't do it. It's over. Don't even, I'm trying to do this and you're not about to come between it. I bind you with that. Warding. Do not cross. I have made this line. I've drawn the line in the sand, and you are unable to cross. You are unable to enter. Sealing, right? This matter is closed. That's it. It's over. The seal cannot be broken. Or you should not break the seal. And then you have neutralization. I know I don't have a visual on here. I mean, it's neutral. But neutralization is you no longer have power to interfere here. Just neutralize it. Don't give it any energy. Don't even think. If you say that, don't think it no more. Because when you think it, you're going to give it energy. If you have neutralized that power, make it so it be. Right? So it's very simple. That way your subconscious can get it and understand that you, the skilled practitioner, if that's what you so desire to be, doesn't merely know techniques. The skilled practitioner, which is you, knows which operation the situation requires, right? And then when you're skilled, that's when you can really offer services in real life. I know some people learn some shit and they offering services. But now you know if somebody come up to you and they explain the situation, you'll know exactly what they need to do. Okay? Listen, let me give it to you like this. All right. Or how do we say us melanin dominant? So boom. Let me you know what I'm saying? So boom. Run it all the way down. Okay. All right. So we are moving along here. As I clear my throat chakra, and we're gonna get into this. Let me pull this down because I want to see these notes too. Yes, I do have several notes because I'm like that. I'm like that. What am I? Oh, yes, here we are. That magical voice. Ooh, what that throat do? It do a lot. It does a lot. But we're going to talk about it in another way. In another day, we'll talk about it in that. Okay. Yep, it's going to get like that. Okay. We're going to talk about what that chakra, that throat chakra does. All right. You know, just in general in this, okay? So the magical voice. The spoken command as ritual technology, right? Why does the practitioner speak? Right? Well, let me back up first before I do that. I want to. Oh, come on! Was that an accident, y'all? Okay, let me back up though, because let's talk a little bit about the voice, the use of the voice, right? So, you mortal human beings have spoken during ritual for as long as ritual has been recorded. Yes, I did say that. All right, prayers, invocations, mantras, sacred names, charms, chants, declarations, commands, all involve sound, breath, and language entering the ritual environment, right? But the deeper question, an occultist or junior occultist or practitioner, whatever the hell you want to call you, was really not whatever the hell, because an occultist is one who studies hidden knowledge. I'm gonna be, I always want you to be correct. Just so you get that understanding. I don't like just throwing things out there. But an occultist is not simply what thinks what words should I say, right? Or what does the practitioner speaks? Because the universe cannot hear your thoughts. In that sense, right? You put thoughts out there. There's thought forms and there's ways and patterns that they go, but we're talking about the power of the voice itself, right? Because it carries what? Vibration. It carries frequency. So really, that's what the universe is, or your universe. I'm not going to say the, because we all are in the, but you have yours. And when you focus on yours, it just all combines here. Okay. So that's the way, that's what it's hearing, basically. Your frequency and your vibration with that. But since you are in a physical body, you are using your physical voice, right? So speech performs several ritual functions in itself, right? It defines the intention, right? It names the condition in itself. It establishes permission. It establishes prohibition, right? It marks the beginning and the end, right? Because how else are you going to be able to start or stop something and you have not said a word? And you're in the physical, and that's pretty much that's required here, right? So as a spoken formulas appear across very different spiritual systems. Again, like I stated, prayers, invocation, mantras, sacred names, charms, direct ritual command, protection with spoken formulas, or direct statements rather than relying on physical objects alone, right? So that will be the importance there with the voice. When someone says please protect this place, that is a different ritual posture from this place is protected and this boundary is established, right? You gave some different keywords that was able to hone into a different type of energy, right? I'm not saying that we all, I'm not saying that, well, I kind of am saying that either uh, neither is automatically superior. You know, I'm kind of not saying that. You would have to be the deciding force in that regard. They reflect different systems, right? The different relationships, also a different understanding where authority is located. So you're just being direct, you're being intentional with what you're saying to place a particular type of uh, boundary or energy on something, right? So the magical function of sacred speech, basically. That's what I'm trying to come across. So some magical or some folk magical traditions utilize like Sister brought up song, right? I don't really use it, but however, I'm not going to take that in. Again, I love what Sister told you all about um using her own word. And that is the real power. Okay. That's the real power right there. However, there are some people that still want to utilize the psalm as a protective or operative sacred text. Um, this is one system among many, though. You know, other traditions simply employ mantras, like most Hindu traditions in that aspect have a lot of mantras, which I do mantra chats as well. Because what it does is when you're doing things like mantras, it is some great pineal work. Okay. That's some great work on your pineal gland on opening it up and everything. Right. Some employ divine names. Right. Some employ invocations, as we did at the beginning, or ancestral languages. You know, if they have a native or a language that their ancestors spoke and they are aware of it, they utilize that. And it is very powerful. Okay. Charms or even, again, commands, right? So let me talk just briefly here about the difference between asking and commanding, because this is very, very important, right? Very important. Some ritual speech petition, some say, please assist me with. Can you please help me? Can you please? Ooh, you sound so nice and polite. But some invoke, come into this work. I call in this particular energy into this work. Some people declare, you know, this boundary is established. Power came from the throat chakra. This boundary is established. No one may enter. Okay. Some come with a whole command, like I said, a command. You may not cross. You may not enter. You may not press go. Okay. So these are the different relationships to authority in itself. Okay. So I just wanted to make that distinction clear so that also I use those tones in my voice so you can also know the power that that brings. As you see, I started with please. It was very polite. wasn't it? It was cutesy. It's not sovereign talk. I'm gonna just say that right now. But it's cutesy. It sounds, very beggarish. Very, very beggarish. And if you are the god or goddess that you say that you are, why are begging anything? I'm just saying it behooves me as to why. But anyway, but I don't really care because I don't beg anything. Okay. All right. So let's get into, let me make sure that that's all I wanted. That's pretty much all I want to say with that here. So let's know when, how do we know when to close what you open, right? How are we closing or knowing about how to close what we open? All right. Because closure is one of the most neglected parts of the spiritual practice. Sad to say. Ugh. You know what I'm saying? Oh, why are we doing that? Oh my gosh. So we kind of touched on a little bit of this in our episode 13, our last episode, right? And when we learned about opening or operating a ritual in itself, right? So people love opening. They love, who are they say their names to people, the same practitioners, spiritual folk, whatever you want to, those, folk. Folk love opening. They love calling things, right? They love invoking. Oh, they so powerful. I like Bobby Hemming. Okay, no. They love raising energy. Oh, I was stirring it up in Rome. Oh, they love creating portals. 'Cause they feel so what I can do, They love uh making circles, altars, invocations, and ritual atmospheres. But if the practitioner learns how to open a sacred space, they must also need to understand what it means to deliberately bring that operation to a completion. Right? Closing should not be treated as a suddenly deciding. Okay, we're finished now. All right. Oh, I'm done. You're done. Somebody's done. You know, or just simply walking away. Mm-mm. Nope. If you know how to open, you need to learn how to close. If you know how to invite, you know how to dismiss, right? If you know how to raise, then I'm gonna keep hitting this thing. If you know how to raise, then you learn how to ground, right? Dualistic. We talked about this. Okay, we gotta hit both sides. We gotta level out that frequency there, right? If you know how to begin, then you need to learn how to end. So a lot of y'all do not know how to end nothing, unfortunately. But one day through your mastery, you will get there. But things end. Even if it's great, it still comes to an end at some point. Right? That's the law of rhythm in the Kabbalion. Right. So that the transition matters, right? That really matters. Right. So the principle applies far beyond ceremonial magic. It is really about completing a energetic and psychological operation instead of allowing it to remain simply unfinished because the physical ritual activity has stopped. Remember, we are in the physical, but you have to operate in the spiritual, which is the subconscious. So you have to symbolically do things as well. They go hand in hand. Do you sit on the couch and chew your mouth like you got gum in it without gum? And you just sit there. Now it is some people, I just thought about it, some people with that disorder. It's fucked. They just need to forget that they had it. Then they won't do it. But anyway, it's all in the mind. But yeah, they sit there and they chew. No gum, no tobacco, whatever it is in their mouth, not a straw, nothing. But you don't do that. No, you chewing, symbolically chewing, which is actually symbolically telling your stomach that it's eating and it's digesting. But then you actually had a gum in there, and that's the physical part. Okay. So same scenario applies here. I know I got all these hellified metaphors, but the way I thought. It is what it is. I just want you to, I just want y'all to enter and overstand and understand. All the stands. Do that. So the ritual should not remain symbolically open because the practitioner, you, happen to walk away or out of the room. And the circle, and this, this is called, let me put it like this. Spiritual hygiene is maintenance, basically. 'Cause I know I put that in the title. It's the spiritual hygiene. That's all. This is encompassing, right? It's the spiritual hygiene in itself. So closure and integration after activation and direct work. Kind of remember that for yourself, rather than treating the ending as an afterthought. It's part of the ritual. It's part of the act. It's part of finishing thing. It's part of transformation. It's part of new beginnings. Okay? Right? So closing is not, okay, we're finished. I'm just go through these a little bit. Or closing is itself an operation. Right? We're telling the ritual consciousness, our subconscious there, the operation is complete. We're done for the day. We've done it. And it is successful, right? You are returning to the ritual state, right? You're stabilizing yourself. You are releasing what needs to release when the operation is complete. You are securing what needs to remain. You also do that when the operation is complete. The ritual should not remain psychologically or symbolically open simply because you have walked out or you have rubbed your hands together and said you're done. Right? Know how to close what you open. Right? Know how to close what you have open in itself. So I did want to take a moment and give you all of 2 journal prompts because journal prompts are cute. No, seriously, they're amazing. Because it also gives you an opportunity I'm sorry, I was looking, making sure I was done with my thoughts there. But it gives you an opportunity to self-reflect, right? It gives you an opportunity to think within and think these thoughts within yourself and ask yourself questions because this is what you should do. You should always question yourself. Okay? So the first journal prompt, is where in my life do I need cleansing and where do I actually need boundaries, warding, or closure instead? So make a decision on what it is that you really need. Okay? Because remember, it's the decisive action that's the important part of of deciding what needs to happen because what? Your response, right? Your response is everything. So, number two is what have I allowed into my personal field, my home or sacred space that no longer belongs there? And what operation does it require? Like, do I need to banish it, bind it, ward it, or seal it? And I went through those actions. And again, our sister and I are going to link our Google slides. We did put them on Google Files for you all in order to share. It's something that we decided to do last episode, and we'll do that moving forward. That way, you can go through again and grab the notes that's there if you so choose. All right, because I know it's been times I watch lectures and pretty much get the notes. I'm gonna stop and start and reverse and all of that. However, I may be doing some self studying on another subject, and that comes into mind, and then I'm easily can go back and find that knowledge that I wanted to write down. Okay, so let me give you some book references before Sister comes back on, and then we're just gonna have a little discussion with you all, and I'll let you go. So here's a couple references that can be used for your deeper study in itself. Now, there is a book called Protection Magic Part One, right? And it's by the Witches Circle. However, it has some really good basic knowledge because we talked about this. I'm giving you all basic knowledge so that you can read it, interpret it for thyself. If it works in your practices and you need to tweak it, that's great. That's what you should do. But if it works in your practices, cool. If it doesn't, just leave it for someone else. Simple as that. Okay. So that's going to give you some good protection magic and also do's and don'ts, basically. Right? You can take the do's and don'ts and make your own protection magic. Okay. So this is another book that was pretty nifty. I had quoted out of it earlier. So it's the Mystic Temple. Right? Um, it is the African mysticism, occult and mastery, ancestral alignment. Okay. So it was a very good book and talking about the occult, talking about master of self, talking about um spiritual alignment, which would be also ancestral alignment. So it did talk about opening and closing and um different ways of protection. And I did talk about those ways of protection. And then you have color magic. So color magic, and we purposely brought this to you in black and white today because we wanted to be in black and white. Not just for the color, but to give a beginning and an end, a front and back, a in between, right there on the line type thing. You know, that's what we want to give. Okay. However, with color magics, I added a little pop of color. You're able to use those to use this book for knowledge of protection, binding, warding, sealing, and things of that sort. Okay. All right. So I just wanted to give you those books as well. I'm just now noticing that I don't see any authors on here. I usually have the authors on here, so that was my oversight. I'll make sure I will correct the slide so when you do go back into the Google link, you are able to see the authors so that you may download or purchase the books yourself. Okay. All right. So we're going to bring Sister back. Bring it back. Bring it back. Hey.
I was here. I am
Hey.
here.
All right. All right.
Cracking up
And
back there.
we are removing that from the
I thought it
stage.
was off. Okay, my bad.
Oh, you good. You good. Which way are we in here?
There we go.
Okay. All right.
Love the
So,
slide,
what
sis. Love
was
the slide.
it?
I love the slide. What was that? Beggary. I love that word.
Who? Which
Beggary.
one? Oh,
The one
begin.
we I love
You know,
that word.
you
We
know, I
gotta
would.
come out with our own dictionary.
Yeah, because I'll make up a word in a minute. I mean, they all made up at some point in history or time.
They were.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, well, let's get into this a little bit here. I got something for us. I got some for us. So before we close out, right? Uh, I've really been teaching two sides of the same. We've been teaching two. What am I talking about? We've been teaching two sides of the same practice tonight, right? You dealt with Sistar. You dealt with cleansing and purification, right? And clearing the body. You did that. You did it so beautifully. Clearing the home, clearing your temple in itself.
Yes.
And then I came behind that with what happens after the space is cleared, the protection, the boundaries, the warding, and knowing when something actually needs to be removed.
Ashe.
So the question I want to ask, let me ask you this star. Say somebody has, we're going to be covering when does cleaning become protection? That's the title of the question.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the scenario is somebody has had a lot of people coming in and out of their home, as we talked about, right? Maybe and we don't do that, but maybe 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 they've been at an event or family gathering or
Mm,
people carrying all types of emotional baggages and whatnot and
mm,
different things into the space after everyone leaves. Tell our beautiful mystics here. And the house just feels heavy, basically.
yeah.
So, from your perspective, where would you actually start? What would be your start?
Far as protecting the home and
Yeah, what would be
cleansing.
like as soon as they left the dome, you felt the energy and you like turned around, like, oh, what would be
Yeah.
your start?
I'm gonna say this. Like I said, I don't do that shit. I have been to
Right,
people
right.
houses where they have gatherings and it be people there, and I be like, she want this energy in the house, but hey, it ain't my place. I immediately start with sweeping people energy out of my house. I do
Mm,
that.
okay,
I
good.
go and do my smoke cleanse. I also have bells. I like to ring my bells. I like to go
Uh-huh.
and clear that space as well. My big screen TV, there are some sounds and frequencies I love to play
Okay, sounds
to
good.
clear that vibration. So that's what I do right there. I'm definitely gonna sweep your energy up out of here
Sweet
real
the
quick.
energy out.
And if you left some shit and you don't come back and get it, it's in the trash.
It's out of here. It's
I'm
out of
just
here.
being honest.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
hold I don't
Yeah,
hold nobody else's energy in my
yeah.
home, in my sacred space. All right, sister. What about you, sister?
Yeah. So I myself, I immediately whip out that Palo Santo stick. Hell, I got a big box of them boys. Okay, you
Oh
might
yeah,
can't
gotta
see it.
keep it on deck. Gotta
Listen,
keep it on deck.
listen, I will because I live in an apartment. So, if I try not to, I live in a way that I try not to need maintenance. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty handsy. I buy my own filters. Like because I do not like random ass energy in my crib. I just don't. But if it was to happen, or I'm just put it like this, family members, right?
Yeah.
They cool. But again, it's somebody else's energy and not mine,
Yeah, that's your
right?
palace. That is your palace.
Right. And sometimes, especially family, they can bring family shit, you know? So they can bring family shit. And, in their mind. And so immediately I whip out that stick and my feather. And we
Come on
hitting
with
the
it.
house, we hitting the trays, we opening the door first. Like Sister I told y'all, we opening the
Yes.
door because
Make
we're
sure you do
sweeping the
that.
energy out the
Yep.
door.
Oh yeah.
Sweeping it out the door with the smoke. I'm just my feather. Just, hey, all
Let me
right.
ask you this,
Speaking,
sister.
wait a minute, magical voice.
There you go. I was
Oh,
just gonna
my
say. Yeah.
magical voice to
Mm-hmm.
say, I clear this energy, I clear my space. Right?
Ashe.
I'm the
Not
only one that's
Gregory.
chill up in this
Man.
place. No, this
Uh,
one. I don't really say that. I just wanted to rhyme right quick, but
yeah, I love it, sis. I love it. She do it all the time. Okay.
okay. No, you the rhymer girl, cause I've been not. You be on it.
It
You're
just be
right.
coming. It just be coming. I feel like I was a rapper in my past life. So
Right. Okay. So, so again, not every cleansing requires an elaborate type of ward afterwards, right? But sometimes the environment itself simply needs to be reset. I'm
yes.
resetting the energy.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna
Yes.
be real. I'm gonna be real candid at 2 hours and 39 minutes in. Uh, my beautiful mom, who's Jesus' favorite, may come over and do I paleo anto at Santo after mom leaves? It's not. It's not that she brought negative energy, but
Again, that's your sacred
this
space.
is my sacred space, and this is
Mhm.
how I decided to enter and fully, unapologetically live in my journey, right?
As you should. Hmm.
And I know that her belief is different from my knowing, and that's okay because that's her journey,
Yeah.
right?
I
I don't
share.
govern that. I only govern me and my space.
I
And
share.
so I reset the energy to keep it sacred as I had it before another type of energy that has a whole nother different that comes with that comes into the space. She could be Buddhist for all I care. I'ma still reclaim my space and my energy.
As you should. As
Okay.
you should. I
And that
do
is totally,
recommend
I just
our
want to tell
mystics with
everybody
you.
that's, yeah,
I share.
absolutely. It's nothing wrong with that. Please
No.
don't feel bad, like, oh, because again, negative energy, you have, I did talk about it in our presentation that it may be unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? A leaving of energy. They have something going on very heavy, or something that you're not privy to, and it's not even directed to you at
I
all.
share.
But it want to hang around. It's like, oh, it's nice in here.
Yes.
Like, oh,
Yes.
you got the air on. You ain't got no roaches. Oh my
Yes.
God, I'm stuck.
You can feel how light the energy is. The vibration is
Exactly.
very high. It's
Right.
nothing to take personal, family. You should definitely, like you protect your car, like you protect your kids and all that. Same thing with your sacred space. Any type of energy that someone outside of your sacred palace, if they leave energy, especially if y'all ain't resonating on the same frequency, I appreciate love you and what you believe, but that is not the energy that stays in my sacred space. What stays
Absolutely.
in my sacred space is what is attaining to me.
Ashe. Ashe. So Ashe. So simply do not perform more magic, or do not perform more magic simply because more magic is available, right? Basically, determine what the space actually requires, and then do that shit.
Do
Okay,
that shit.
do
Do
that
that
shit.
shit.
So I got one more question. I want do that shit. Do that. I got one more question I want to ask you, sister.
Come on with it.
Gosh, I didn't know it was getting that late. Almost 3 o'clock. All right.
It
So
don't feel like it.
it does not. It does not.
Remember,
So
those
what?
time don't exist. So
It doesn't. But I do have to go to work.
I got you,
Well, I
sis.
don't have to. Let me change that. Click the cast for the lead. I am scheduled. I'm scheduled,
And you made
and I may
you
attend. I may
yes,
attend.
because you wanted to, not because you have
Oh, of course. Oh,
to.
it's the, you already know. You know me,
Oh
honey.
yes.
You couldn't move. Listen, if
This
I
how
didn't
we talk,
say,
y'all.
it did not happen. If I didn't say, this is a series of events that never happened.
There
Ever.
you go.
Okay. All
Sovereignty
right.
right there.
Right quick. All right. So, guys, I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on this too? Because this is something I see constantly.
Mm. Uh-oh, what we seeing?
Hungry, right? Somebody somebody has one disturbing dream, right?
Mm.
Or they walk into a room and don't like how it feels. Or they have two bad days in a row. Immediately they think somebody is working on me. Somebody did a hex on me.
I got
Something is attached to me. It's an incubus. No. Or I'm under spiritual attack. We at woe, y'all. We at spiritual woe, y'all. I don't want to say. I'm just saying.
yeah.
What do you think about that?
I want to say this, sister, because I do see that as well. And what I observe, I don't absorb, I observe. Okay. I observe that a lot of times it's so easy for folks to blame external events instead of looking within, because your dreams will tell you what's going on with you internally. If you are a dream interpreter or you like to decode dreams, what was that dream about? Why was it scary? Why was it uncomfortable? What was it that made your last 2 days so bad? Like, you really have to take a moment to observe yourself. Okay. A lot of lack of accountability is what I observe off of, seeing stuff like that. Because now I'm up on a spiritual attack. Now you got other folks who don't have also self accountability. Now they feeding into it. Now you done made something that is not. And what Bobby Hemming said, I remember one of his lectures, he said he was lying about something and shit ended up becoming true.
Yeah.
You can do that.
That's some thought forms.
Yes, you
Created
can
it,
do
it
that.
grew legs, and it became a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts
Mm-hmm.
become things.
That's my observation to that, sister.
Hmm.
Truly, truly, really have strong discernment. And the only way you can do that is when you truly observe self. Like you said, sister, ask yourself questions.
Right. I was going to elaborate on that. Absolutely.
Go right ahead.
Absolutely.
We on the same
Absolutely.
page?
Well, I just want to say, just to bring it here, we are definitely on the same frequency here. So, strange experiences are definitely worth noting. We're not saying don't pay attention. You know what I'm saying?
That's why we said discernment.
Discernment, absolutely, absolutely. So, particularly for people who already maintain a spiritual practice in itself, um, this is for that. But noticing something and diagnosing something are two different acts, right? That's that deeper discernment that you noticed it. It's two parts to it, basically. You
Mhm.
noticed it, now you need to diagnose it or discern, basically. It's the same word, means the same thing in this instance. So one dream is information, right? It's just information. Take it as that. And then you have one uncomfortable feeling, that's information. A difficult, strong or weak is information as well. But none of those automatically establish any spiritual attack, right? So as an occultist, we observe the patterns, right? You pay attention to the timing, the reoccurrence, the contents, the behavior, the environment, and our own internal state
There you
before
go.
deciding what something means.
There you go. My light don't want to act right.
Okay. And this is also where spiritual hygiene becomes so important. If I already maintain myself, my altar, and my environment, I don't have to react violently to every fluxation I experience. I observe it first. Because if I'm good, I'm happy, I've been doing my work, I've been, working self and all that, and something happens, my tire fuck up, it ain't no spiritual attack that's going to the extreme. It's over deep. The tire just got in it. Shit.
Hell, and look at it like this: is if the tire became flat, that could have been a protection from something.
In that too. This is why you diagnose it. So if I'm good, maybe it was trying to make sure I'm better. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
You have to open your mind set and look at it in these type of ways. So once fear becomes the interpreter of every spiritual experience, because I just want to back this up, because fear itself can distort your discernment, right? So once that fear becomes the interpretation of every spiritual experience in itself, suddenly everything becomes evidence of an attack. It's just your mind, it's your ego that is actually doing that. And just be really honest on a cult level. So it's your ego that's doing that. Okay, because you got it all right. Your ego is there to protect you.
Yeah.
The problem is that y'all ego run y'all and y'all don't run y'all ego. But okay, that's for another. We will be getting into that another day.
That's exciting.
All right. So this hyper vigilance dressed in a cult. So this is the hyper vigilance itself, right? Sometimes the most powerful thing an occultist can do is observe before acting, right?
Sure.
Everything does not need a candle. Everything does not need to be banished. We understand everything does not require return to cinder work. We also know that sometimes you need to just watch, listen, determine what is actually happening before deciding that anything needs to be done, right?
Sure.
Sometimes the correct magical response is what? No magical response at all.
It'd be
Discernment is also a form of protection. Because you're going to go out there and start doing all this protective work or banning and warding. You're going to ban and ward something out your life that you really wanted.
possibly a necessity.
That too, Miss Ban and Ward. So the lesson tonight is not that the world is filled with things waiting to attack you. Please stop living like that. Please stop living like that. Please. Okay. The lesson is that the practitioner, must understand spiritual boundaries, know how to cleanse, know how to protect, know when to ward, know when something truly needs to be removed in itself, know when something simply needs to be restricted, know how to close what you open yourself. And above all, know, hear me now, listen to me, know when nothing needs to be done at all. Just sit back and eat your popcorn. Okay, your Wheaties or whatever it is. You know, your vegetable roll with your hot chili crunch sauce. I don't know. So spiritual authority is not demonstrated by how much magic you perform, right? Sometimes it is demonstrated by how clearly you understand the moment, what the moment requires in itself. Always remember, a temple is sacred not because nothing ever enters it. A temple is sacred because the keeper knows what belongs there.
Ashe,
Okay.
I'm gonna give you some
Ashe.
snaps for that, y'all.
Okay. 2 snaps and a world twat. You know.
All right. I was doing the circle for you. There you go.
Okay. All right. All right. But thank you all for joining us this evening for another episode of Goddess After Dark. We know that this knowledge has hit home for a lot of you all. We give it to you in love and light.
Yes.
Until next week, we're going to say peace.
Peace. Much love to you, family. All right, Mystics. Have a good one.
At the dark.